but me. Say everybody. Okay.
KCMO, born and raised if you ain't get the memo. Slipping in my city is a NO. We put down the demo.
Hey you guys, it's me Bossy. Welcome back to my channel. I am doing a story time today. I have not done a story time in forever, and I know y'all wanted one. Now this is gonna be another story time that has to do with pregnancy and babies, because y'all know I have 5 children. So you know, I'm done with talking about Bobster, so we're gonna talk about my children's, and y'all always ask about the babies. So I'm gonna tell another story that has to do with me getting pregnant, and this is about me getting pregnant with the IUD, so to speak. So I'm just gonna ahead and jump into this, but before we do it, I'm just gonna address some questions that I know I'm gonna have, because it happens every video. So first, on my lips I have ColourPop's Midi and Trap with a clear lip gloss on top. This watch on my wrist is from Yord Watches. It's a gorgeous watch. If y'all want to get y'all a watch, I will have all the information down below. These watches are life, and they'll have your wrist popping. And my hair is from Lone Key Beauty. I have a review on this hair on my channel, and I just colored it red. So that's my hair. And this top is from Fashion Nova Curve. Also have a video on my channel. So you guys, we're just gonna go ahead and get into this video. I'm gonna take it back. So June 14th of 2011, I had my 4th child, my son TJ. And this was Terrence's first, but my 4th. And I was like, I don't want no more kids no time soon. So I knew I couldn't get my tubes tied, because I knew one day, you know, I was probably going to give him another child. He's going to be my husband. I'm not going to do that. So let's just go with something that's going to work, but it's not going to allow me to get pregnant. And I didn't want to do the pill because I forget too much. The ring, it's just too much. And I never want the shot. So I opted for the IUD. And if you don't know what an IUD is, it's a T-shaped little device that goes up inside of you to prevent you from getting pregnant. And it's supposed to last for 5 years. So that's what I went ahead and got. So I had my son about 6 weeks after I had my son. They went ahead and gave me the IUD. And when they gave me the IUD, they wanted me to make sure that I was bleeding. So I had to have started my period, which I did. So it sounds pretty nasty, but I did. Got it put in. It was a little uncomfortable, but hell, it worked. And I got that put in 2011. I was fine. We was doing all kinds of stuff and wasn't worried. We was good. We was safe. Well, as safe as we could be, because we thought the IUD was going to work. I want to say 2013, dang near almost 2 years, I noticed my period stopped. It was about maybe March or April that this happened. I can't really remember. I think it might have been March or April. For sure, it's one of those 2 months. So I'm like, my period stopped. Pregnancy is not the first thing that pops up in my head. I'm thinking, oh, this sucker's finally working. Because from the time I got that put in up until March or April of 2013, I still had the same heavy flow. TMI, I know. But with this, it's supposed to, of course, number 1, prevent the pregnancy, and 2, lighten your period. Some even stop having it altogether. So my first thing was thinking, my period stopped. So I'm all excited and happy and, you know, just glad that I wasn't going to have to deal with no period for the next couple years. But I noticed at the same time I was still having period-like symptoms. Now with me, my period symptoms and pregnancy symptoms are kind of similar. I don't know if some of you ladies are like, but with me, mine are like that. So I get cramping with periods. I get cramping with pregnancy. I get emotional with my period. I get emotional with pregnancy. But one thing that I don't do and get when I'm on my period is tender, sore breasts. And I get that when I'm pregnant. So I noticed that my breasts were starting to become very tender and sore when I leaned up against the sink or anything like that. And then I was more tired than normal. But I'm like, yeah, know what? I already got 4 children. They drive me crazy. I'm just, it's finally hitting me. It's kicking my butt. But I was just happy because I'm like, no more periods. But at the same time, something in my head was like, Basima, you need to take a test. Take the test, Basima. Don't just assume. Take the test. But I'm thinking, girl, I'm talking to myself, I ain't pregnant. Like I'm not all there or something. I'm just like, girl, I ain't pregnant. I'm like, girl, take that test. I even called my mama like, Mama, I got the IUD and my period stopped, but I still feel like I might be pregnant. She was like, Bossy, now, do you think you are? I'm like, no, Mama, I have the IUD. I'm not supposed to get pregnant. She was like, okay, lady love, well, just go ahead and get you a test. I said, I am. I just wanted to tell you what's going on with me. So, I called Terrence and I'm like, babe, you need to get the test. He's like, what kind of test? I'm like, a pregnancy test. He was like, for what? And I'm like, because I just need to take a test because I don't have a period no more. And he was like, but you got that thing. I said, I know, but I just want to make sure, you know, we've been good this long, but I just want to really make sure. And he's like, all right, man. So he finally gets home with the test. And it's the test with the 2 inside. So he stays in the living room and I run my butt upstairs. And I'm sorry if y'all hear the kids, but I run my butt upstairs and I go and take this dang test. So I go in there, take it out the pack, and I pee on it and put the thing back on it. And I'm just holding it looking like, because I'm like, I know I ain't pregnant. Maybe I'm just going through some stuff. The changes with my period stopping is, the IUD is finally kicking in and working and just doing something else to my body. Seriously, I'm really thinking this, y'all. No lie. And so I look at the test and you know you have the 2 windows, 1 line if you're not, and it has 2 lines if you are. So I'm looking at one of the windows in the test and the 1 line came and I'm like, okay, we good, we good. And then slowly my smile started to turn upside down because in the 2nd window I started to see a faint line start to show up. So then I'm like, oh hell no. So I'm like, ain't no way. So I hurry up, get myself cleaned up, and I run downstairs, and I take Terrence the test, and I said, babe, look at this test. I said, I'm pregnant. He was like, man, no, you ain't. And I showed him the test. He was laughing and couldn't believe it. He was like, what? And I'm like, babe. He was like, man, take that other test. I said, well, I can't right now, you know, so I had to wait a couple of hours so I could pee again. Same thing happened with that test. So I'm like, oh, call my mama and tell her, and she's just like, well, lady love, I don't know what to tell you. What you mean? I got the IUD. Why am I pregnant, woman? She couldn't tell me. You know, her tubes was tied. She was like, she don't know. She didn't have all this extra stuff that they got out here nowadays. I finally called my doctor's office or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I need to come in for a physical and to make sure that my IUD is correctly inserted. Because my period stopped and I took a pregnancy test and it says I'm pregnant. So they got me an appointment for the following week and I went in, did all this normal paperwork, did the whole routine thing. And finally my doctor, she came in, Dr. Roy, and she came in and she's like, well, you're pregnant. And I'm like, yeah, I know, and I shouldn't be. So she was like, well, did your IUD fall out? I said, fall out? It can fall out? How? What you mean? Did it fall out? I didn't know it was supposed to fall out. So she was like, well, we're going to just go ahead and do an examination and then we'll check the heartbeat and see if we can hear the baby and all this and that. So I'm like, okay. So I lay down and she, you know, the whole routine, she's looking down all up in there. And at the same time, she making noises and humming and okay. And kind of, you know, down there longer than she'd be. And I'm like, what's going on? What's wrong now? What's the problem? And she was like, I don't see your IUD in there. And I'm like, what you mean you don't see it in there? So, you know, we finished this routine up and she says, it seems that your body rejected it. She said, and because Terrence was in there with me, and she turned to Terrence, she said, Terrence, when you and Basima have intercourse, do you notice a poking feeling? Because with the IUD, you can feel it's not a hurtful feeling, but it can kind of be pokey because of the device. And he was like, I hadn't felt that since probably the week after she had it put in. And he was like, after that, I didn't feel it no more. So she was like, well, your uterus rejected because it felt like it was a foreign object, which of course it is, and it rejected it. So my IUD fell out. And she said, no, when you went to the restroom and were on your period, because I got it put in when I was on my period. She said, did you see it in the tissue? I would have called you if I seen it in the tissue. I just got it put in. I would have called you. I didn't see this letter T come up out of me. I didn't see it. When I wipe myself, I wipe front to back, okay? I don't look at my tissue all the time. Sometimes I do, but maybe I should have looked at it then. But I don't remember seeing a white letter T. It probably wouldn't have been white anymore, but I don't remember seeing that. She was like, well, you're lucky you went this long without getting pregnant because that has not been in your body for some time now. And I'm like, ain't this a BI? She said, well, did your periods ever get light? Because they're supposed to get light maybe a month or two after you have it. I said, my periods have been the same heavy consistency since the time you put it in. And she was like, yeah, it must have, your body rejected it. I could not believe it. I was like, so you telling me I'm pregnant? So she said, based on this test. So we went ahead, she did the ultrasound, and listened for the heartbeat. I was still kind of early, so you couldn't really hear a heartbeat, but you seen in that ultrasound, it was a sac and it was a little baby. And I'm like, oh my God. Now, me, I was a little upset and frustrated, but Terrence, he seemed to be a little happy and excited. And I'm like, nah, bruh, nah. And so, you know, we left and I had to process it in my brain that, Basima, you're going to have another baby, a 5th child. That's how I ended up getting pregnant with Talik. My IUD fell out probably a week, the same week I got it put in. My body rejected it. We just seemed to be lucky. Those whole almost 2 years of having intercourse without getting pregnant, and then finally luck ran out. But I'm grateful for my bundle of joy because I had this inside of me. This beautiful pumpkin butt right here. That is my last of the Mohegans, my twin, my baby. I love him to death. He's bad as I don't know what, but that is my love, my baby, my baby, my baby. And I guess he was meant to be here. So that is how I got pregnant with the IUD. Basically, it wasn't in me like it was supposed to be. So, yeah, you guys. So, this story is basically saying, besides y'all wanted to know more stories about how I got pregnant and everything like that, if you have that IUD, make sure you check yourself. Make sure you look in the water before you flush. Make sure that you know your stuff is right. Go to checkups. And maybe I didn't go to a checkup within that time frame. Is that bad? Yeah, I don't know, but hell, I was pregnant. So that's the time I got pregnant with the device. You know, the pregnancy was fine. Of course, I had to have a repeat C-section because TJ was 10 pounds and 2 ounces or something. So off top, I had to have a C-section. Talik was 8 pounds and 2 ounces, I think, as well. And they just made me have a repeat C-section, but he came out healthy, no complications. But on that table, I got them tubes tied, which y'all already have heard that tubes tied story. I got my tubes tied and I was good. Well, for a long while. But I got my tubes tied and that was that. But he was a healthy baby, and I don't know what birth control options to offer people. Some people don't even like birth control, and that's fine. That's great. I really don't like birth control myself because I just don't like all that stuff in my body. But, you know, it is what it is. God wanted all my children here, and they are here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Yeah, y'all. It feels good to be doing a story time, and hopefully I don't delete this one on accident again. So yeah. I will see you guys in my next video. And thank you for all of my new subscribers. I love y'all. Bye, loves.
Only on your mind when you wasted. Tell me what you wasted. My time.